Hi, it's Jason here, and today we're doing a wellbeing session on resilience and well-being with a focus on a concept called Ikigai. So obviously we all want to be happy, but a lot of us don't really know what to do about that. And a lot of it focuses on how do we improve our day-to-day mood and how do we kind of find consistent well-being or contentment in our lives. So we're going to try and answer some of these questions. Some people will tell us to, follow our passions or do what we love. Some people will tell us to do something that gives back to the community. Some people will tell us that we just need to make more money, or sometimes the opposite, that we need to work less. So we're going to kind of explore these ideas today. And what I want you to do is write down 3 ideas for each of the following questions. And I'd like you to actually write these down so that you can reflect on them a little bit later. So grab some paper and a pen, or even just open up notes on your phone and actually write down 3 ideas for each of these questions. Teachers, I'm going to go through each question briefly, and if you can just pause the video after each one, and the students can jot down their ideas. So question 1, what do you love to do? These are things that make you feel good, things that make us stop thinking for short periods of time, when you're just present in the moment and in what you're doing. Psychologists call this being in a flow state. So what gives you that feeling? What do you love to do? Could be really more abstract things like solving problems or something like that, or it could be really concrete, like I love playing basketball or something along those lines. Question 2, what are you good at? And this doesn't necessarily mean something you're naturally gifted or talented in, but more so something that you're willing to put in the time and effort to get better at. Or maybe something that you've already put time and effort into getting good at. So for example, maybe you've been doing maths since you started school, you've always tried and you've done the work, and you're now in college and you can recognize that you're good at that thing. Maybe partly due to skill, partly due to practice. So jot down 3 things that you're good at, whether you love them or not. You can probably see where this is going. So if you write down things that you're good at that you also enjoy or love, well then obviously that's a bonus. Question number 3, what can you get paid for? Some of you might immediately jump to thinking, well, I thought money wasn't supposed to be the be-all and end-all, etc., etc. And yes, that's true. In fact, the research tells us that once you have a comfortable amount of money, enough to live comfortably, etc., etc., more money does not equal more happiness. But that said, you do still need a certain base level of money in order to be comfortable. Maslow explained this with his hierarchy of needs. So basically, he said that we start at the bottom and we work our way up, and we need to fulfill the needs at the bottom of the pyramid before we can progress to the ones higher up. So if you don't have food, water, rest, a sense of safety and security, then you can't really work on things like feeling a sense of accomplishment. So, what can you get paid for? Obviously, there are a whole bunch of different jobs out there. You can't get paid for going to the gym, but you could get paid for being a PT. You can't get paid for playing whatever video game you currently love, but you can get paid for being a game designer, programmer, etc. So jot down 3 things that you could get paid for, keeping in mind that you'll need to be getting paid enough to live comfortably, as I said. And obviously, you guys are still in school. You're not in current full-time work. But do your current classes reflect what you love and what you're good at? Those first 2 questions. Do they also reflect potential jobs that you could actually go out and do? And what about your part-time work? You obviously get paid for that, so you could write it down. But does it reflect what you love or are good at all? Have a think and try and write down 3 legitimate jobs that you could see yourself getting paid for either now or in the future. The last one is, what does the world need? Humans are hardwired to feel good when we know we're doing something that's valuable to others and to our community. Okay, we're hardwired to feel good when we know that we're needed. But in modern societies with huge populations, huge companies and organizations, it can be harder and harder to get that feeling. So often we feel like what we're doing is meaningless, or it isn't making any kind of difference. Like if you quit tomorrow, the world would go on and no one would really care or notice. You might even get that in your learning if you're doing, learning something that you feel isn't useful in the greater world somehow. So have a think about things that the world needs. 3 things that you could write down that the world needs. And this, once again, can be pretty broad. The world needs people to help those in need just as much as it needs people to provide joy and delight with what they do. People that the world needs people that can think creatively or strategically. So what does the world need? Three answers there. The main point is that you write down things that you feel you could see having a visible positive effect on those around you and the world. So all of this leads us to this idea that we need a sense of purpose. We know that one of the most important factors in predicting someone's level of resilience and overall well-being and contentment and ability to cope with the difficult things in life is whether or not they have this kind of overarching sense of purpose. And that leads us to Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word or concept, and it means reason for being or reason for waking up in the morning. It literally translates to life's worth. And you can probably guess that you achieve Ikigai with a combination of those things we mentioned earlier, the things that you've just written down. Doing something you love, something that you're good at so you feel a sense of competence, something you're paid for so you can live comfortably and healthily, and something the world needs so you feel like you're giving back and contributing in some way. And the great thing about this model is that you can tell where you're currently at and what you need to work on by quickly assessing what you have so far. So if we look at the diagram here, we can see that if you have got something that you love and something that you're also good at, then that's probably a passion. Okay, so for me, I love playing footy. I'm reasonably good at it, good enough to get a game each week, and that's a passion. That's something that I really enjoy. What you love and what the world needs is a mission. That's something that you're determined to do. You know it's important and you love it and you push for it. That's a mission. So maybe for me, that might be something like this well-being stuff. I know it's important and it's something I enjoy doing, so I'm pushing for that. If you've got something that you know the world needs and that you know you can be paid for, that's a job. That's a vocation, right? That could be, a cleaner or a laborer or any kind of job. The world needs laborers and cleaners, and you can be paid for that. The world also needs surgeons and lawyers and public servants and electricians and every other kind of job. If it's something you can be paid for and you're really good at it, then that's a profession, right? You're very good at what you do and you get paid for it. That's a profession. But you'll see here that none of those things combine to give us that real reason for being, that Ikigai. And you can see a couple of the little spaces on this Venn diagram. If you've got something that you can be paid for and that you love and are good at, you might feel satisfied, but maybe a little bit useless, like you're not really giving back to the world. On the other side, if you love it and the world needs it and you can be paid for it, but maybe you're not very good at it, or you might be excited but feel a bit uncertain or lack in confidence. Up the top there, that little darker triangle shape, we can see if you're good at it and you love it and the world needs it, well then that's great. That brings you a lot of joy and fulfillment, but no wealth. And it's hard to live comfortably and happily if you've still got the stress of how to put food on the table and that kind of stuff. And down the bottom there, if you can be paid for it, you're good at it and the world needs it, but you don't love it, well, you can live comfortably, but you're going to feel a bit of a sense of emptiness because you'll lack joy in your life. So you can see that all four of these elements need to come into play to give you that reason for being and to give you that kind of armor against the difficulties that life will throw at you. If you love what you're doing, if you're good at it, if the world needs it, and if you can be paid for it, then those things will provide you with Ikigai, which will lead to a greater sense of contentment, which will lead to a better ability to cope with life's challenges and manage your day-to-day mood, knowing that you have that greater sense of purpose or reason for being. So I hope you can go back and have a look at that diagram and really think about how that relates to the questions that you answered earlier. And once again, teachers, you could pause here and have a bit of a chat with the students about what they see here, what their thoughts are on this model, and how it relates to the answers that they gave to the 4 questions earlier in the session. And that's the end of the presentation. I hope you've gotten something out of this. I hope that the idea of Ikigai maybe reminds you of what's important and what can help you feel better about yourself. Thank you very much. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email.